I told Drew, man, I'd root for you 14 weeks a year. The other two, if they knocked your head off, I'll be happy to pick it up and carry it to the locker room.
Now, Joe, what do you think about the new Washington Commanders mascot?
It was designed to honor the offensive line that I had the privilege to play behind, the Hogs. And when I first saw it, I didn't quite understand it. I think it's unique. Someone in the explanation said that players, when they scored touchdowns, used to call them tutties. I have never used that term, so I really don't know. I can't speak to that as an authority, but we've had various names. We've had different types of mascots, and to me, I look at it this way: if we start winning, Major Tutty's going to be a very popular.
We might have to get you a shirt with them on it. I'll get you for Christmas. I'll get you a Major Tutty shirt, and we'll wear it together. So, Joe, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate this. I know you're a busy man, but someone of your caliber hopping on here, we really do appreciate this. So, thank you so much.
Good to be with everybody.
Perfect, Joe. All right, so Joe, obviously, we keep on seeing you watch the game and everything like that. What are your kind of first impressions of this the showdown between the Cowboys and the Commanders?
Well, this game's it's significant. First of all, Washington gets to start Sam Howell, a rookie quarterback. It's the third game in a row where there'll be a different starting quarterback, and got knocked out of the playoffs a week ago. So it's a chance for them to look at Sam, and I'd be curious to see how he does, having not taken maybe 4 or 5 days of snaps through the entire year. But fundamentally, I think they like what they saw when they drafted him. The Cowboys, I've said this before, I think the Cowboys are the most talented team that I have seen if they play well, but they find ways to shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yep.
It's a football team that is really so talented in so many areas, and yet they just seem to can't get out of their own way. I mean, they're either first or second when it comes to penalties. And not just, lining up off sides, the kind of penalties that I think just, have Mike pulling his hair out, to be honest. But, I mean, they're an incredibly talented football team. And, if they get it right and they get going, they're a tough out in the playoffs. And, today, they start with a muffed punt, or they start with a dropped punt, and then they drop the punt. Listen, I spent 2 years returning punts. Okay. It ain't that hard. Okay? All right. But you have to focus all the time.
Yeah.
And what drove me crazy were the lefties, because the ball really works towards your off arm. I'm a right-handed guy. And so when you get a right-handed punter, the ball works as a spiral towards your right. But if it's a left-footed punter, it works towards your left, and it makes it a little bit more difficult. But, like I said, I think the Commanders have gotten some breaks. They didn't capitalize on the field goal and would have had a 10-0 lead. You get a 10-0 lead with our defense, and if maybe you can add one, possibly two more scores, that could be good. We have been able to score points. That's the bottom line for our football team. And this isn't just this year. It's sort of been a nagging problem for the last 2 or 3 years that, we can maybe get to 20, 21, 24. We can't really get that blowout game.
Mm-hmm. So, Joe, you brought up a good point earlier, and all the ESPN talking heads can say what they want. All the media members can say what they want. I want to hear it from you, though, and this isn't taking a jab at the team or anything like that, but this quarterback situation. Carson Wentz for the first couple of weeks. Then you got Taylor Heineke, and then you're going back to Carson Wentz. Then you've got Sam Howell. And obviously, they're trying to figure out their footing, but it seems like the past couple of years, the Commanders really haven't found that quarterback. I mean, I think they had RG3 for a couple of years, and then he obviously, bowed out. They're trying their best. I get that. Like, it's not easy to find a franchise quarterback. I get that. But what did the Commanders do? I mean, you did give Carson Wentz this contract, and you went after him, but obviously that's not working out. So where do you think the Commanders go from here and go to in the offseason?
I think they're going to look for a quarterback in the offseason. Carson was new to the system early on and then got hurt, didn't have a lot of success. Taylor went in and really went 5-3 or 5-3-1 in 9 games. But the thing that's interesting about Taylor is that the referees took the Giant game away from Washington, and the league acknowledged that they blew the call, or it would have been a touchdown, and we possibly would. So Taylor would have been 6-2-1. And then all of a sudden, Ron, I think, partially had to find out because of the investment in Carson, what he was, and turns out he was exactly what he was at the beginning of the year. He struggled. I really felt that Ron was going to pull him after the second interception because you really didn't need to see much more. Um, I think he felt like there was a better running game around him. The defense was better. The wide receiving core was healthy. So he wanted to see what Carson looked like in that situation. Unfortunately for Taylor, he wasn't given another opportunity. So I don't foresee Carson coming back. Taylor's going to be a free agent. So right now, when you look at like in 2023 for Washington, you're looking at Sam Howell. Unless, of course, and I think the biggest commodity that's going to be out there will be Derek Carr. Tom Brady going someplace doesn't make sense. Aaron Rodgers is, I don't believe, going to leave Green Bay. And, you've got Russell Wilson is struggling and committed in Denver. So, where do you go to find a veteran? I think they're going to have to draft someone. They're going to have to live with the growing pains, much like we're seeing in Pittsburgh, much like we're going to see in Atlanta. Go with the kid, give him a chance, build a team around him, and look at it as a 3-4 year project, not a 1-2 year project.
And this Commanders team has the weapons. They've got Scary Terry. They've got Brian Robinson, the rookie, who amazingly came back after that tragic incident. And then obviously the defense. You got Chase Young. I mean, obviously he was hurt, but this Commanders team does have weapons, and they've got the tools to be successful.
Samuels has had a great year. This is what they expected when they brought him in from Carolina. Jahan Dotson is special. Jahan Dotson and Terry are two incredible receivers. They're not tall guys. They're not 6'3", 6'4", but they have a great catch radius. And if they get their hands on the ball, they're not dropping it. I think I don't even know if Terry's ever dropped a ball this year. I can't remember one. And Jahan was hurt for a while. Now he's back, and from a wide receiving core, they really, really, I'd say rank in the top 5 in the league as a group.
Yeah. Well, here it is, the man that started this out. Obviously, the man we always join every single week. Emmitt, thank you so much for joining with us as well. Joe's obviously excited to see you as well, so thank you so much, my man.
Hey, Em.
What's up, Joe? I love your commentary about your quarterbacks in Washington. But first and foremost, man, I truly appreciate you jumping on this Notable Live with me and Jesse, and we definitely appreciate you coming on. And your commentary is spot on in terms of who's out there, who can they go get. There's only one guy that's truly available, and that is Derek Carr.
Yeah, and there's probably, I'm guessing off the top of my head, 6 teams that are going to need quarterbacks. Darn well Indianapolis is going to be looking.
Yeah,
Washington's going to be looking. Carolina's going to be looking. And I think there's at least 3 more.
Houston could be looking too.
Houston's definitely going to be looking.
Exactly.
And what do you're hoping, I think if you're a Denver Bronco fan, you're hoping that what you've seen out of Russell Wilson this year was an aberration.
I think so.
But then let's look at the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith has had a tremendous year with the Seattle Seahawks, and everybody thought, oh man, Seattle's done, Russell's gone. Well, it sort of went the other way. Russell struggled all year, and Geno has had a lot of success out there. Of course, big game for them as we see right now. So I think that Derek Carr being the only younger veteran available, there'll be quite a few suitors for him, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. I think he should be able to go out of command, high dollar, top dollar, to be on anybody's team that needs a quarterback. And there's a number of teams, like you mentioned before, that's in desperate need of a solid quarterback. And so, but getting back to our current game, our Cowboys and your Commanders, I hate using the word commander, especially when it comes down when it references you and myself, because you know how it was back in our day. But right now, when I look at our Cowboys, what are you seeing in this particular game that's surprising you the most?
I think the Cowboys came into this game thinking that it was going to be easy. People talk about offense. I mean, I think Pollard's one of the best backs in football. I mean, now you've got a tandem back there, okay, with Zeke Pollard. I think it's one of the best tandems in football. The tight end position is one I think that is not used as much. Lamb's just an incredible – I mean, he is one of the elites in this game. Defensively, I said this week 1, Micah Parsons is going to be the defensive player of the year. my opinion. Kid's unblockable. He's the closest thing, and you and I both played in this division, Em. He's the closest thing that I have seen to Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
His athleticism, his relentless nature, his ability to be able to run.
Right.
Nothing, there never will be another LT, just like there'll never be another Emmitt. There'll never be another Michael. People talk about people in that vein, but let me tell you something. You guys are all like, to me, you're generational individuals, but this kid is something special. But
I agree with you.
They find ways to screw things up. You drop the first punt. Well, first of all, you missed the punt catching it, and the punter the ball. And so maybe it's the wake up call.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you know what, Joe? I've said this, and I get asked this question all the time about how far you think the Cowboys are going to go. I'm like, they're so unpredictable. They have not proven to me that they are committed mentally for the duration of this race. They think they look at the postseason like it's just a regular season, and you just don't turn it on. I'm looking for them to alleviate these mistakes that you talked about. I'm looking for them to show some kind of gelling together as a offensive unit, as a defensive unit, and as a special teams, to come together as a true team, to show the consistency that they need for 4 quarters, no matter who they're playing against. And if you're playing against somebody that's wounded like the Washington Commanders, you absolutely got to dominate to finish strong and send the right message to the rest of the league that you are physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared to go into the playoff and make a serious run at it. And I don't think our Cowboys done that.
They have not. They haven't done it over the last couple of years. And yet, as I look at them as one of the most talented teams in football. I think when I remember, your Cowboy teams, the teams I played against with Danny and Roger there, we never really worried about whom we were playing. Okay. It was never about the opponent, whether they were down, whether they were up, whether it was the Cowboys, whether it was the Giants, whether it was a team that was struggling. It was always about us. And right. I just don't sense that from this Cowboy team that, hey, look, we're darn good. We're going to take care of us. We're going to do what we can do. If we do that, we can dominate the teams that aren't, really with as much personnel. We can go out and get things done. And this, it's probably one of the great enigmas in professional football today is who are the Dallas Cowboys?
I would agree with that. I mean, I was coming up going to pick up my son today, which I'm in the car right now. And I was thinking about what I was watching, what I was hearing on the television screen, and what I expected to see out of the Cowboys today once the game got started.
Well,
and what I saw,
I don't mean to interrupt you, but Dak Prescott is up to his old tricks again. He just threw an interception for a touchdown.
And what I saw, to piggyback off what you just stated, what I saw was a team that's really, I don't think this team is really as focused or as committed as they should be. Not only that, but here's the worst part of it all. I don't know if these guys really fear losing their jobs. Back in our day, if you didn't do your job, you either got benched, got cut, and then you fumbled the ball, you got cut for sure by Jimmy Johnson.
We didn't have
right now, and you could do turnovers and everything else, and show up next week as if everything is okay.
Well, the problem is you're paid so much money, it's a hit against the cap, and it's like you invest today. They're investing so much money in the quarterback position. What other positions are you able to afford? I mean, Dak has been on this run where he's averaging like 2 interceptions a game, and and they're coming at times that are very critical in the game. You as a quarterback, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to throw. Right. It happens. But where and when do you throw them is so critical. I mean, I guarantee you Washington came in here saying, hey, look, we got nothing to lose.
At all.
We're just good. Our defense is really good. It's a top 5 defense. We're going to play hard. And the Cowboys, I gotta be honest with you. They had to look at a rookie quarterback. They had to look at a team that was knocked out of the playoffs. And you and I both know this game is as mental as it is physical, and even more so. And if you aren't ready mentally, then you are going to really struggle. Now, all of a sudden, you get yourself down 14 points. Then all of a sudden, you have to change who you are and what you are. And it makes it more difficult. I'm darn proud of the way our ball club's playing.
And to make it worse, Joe, and the Cowboys, this is still a rivalry game, no matter how you look at it.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how you look at it. So you should have been emotionally, physically, and mentally prepared to go into a rivalry game, knowing that you're gonna get your best shot from these guys. They have, like you said, they have nothing to lose. So to come into this game with this lackadaisical attitude or not focus is just mind-boggling to me.
I think it's unacceptable.
It's definitely unacceptable.
That's the word I think of. It's unacceptable. I mean, like I said, with all that talent and the been committed to places, it's like, give me a break. And you're part of the when I played all the years, we didn't have free agency. You better show up and you better play hard, because if you don't and the other guy gets in and he's decent, you're looking for a place else.
You might not see the field again.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we got some committed fans as well that want to ask you guys some questions. So we're just going to keep on rolling with it right now.
I'm going to take you guys way back. Joe, what are your fondest memories of Drew Pearson and the 1966 undefeated season at South River High School?
Oh, God. The first pass that Drew caught from me was a 60-yard touchdown pass. Drew Pearson, as I played against him, I have a great picture in our trophy room at home of Drew and I walking off the field together. I told Drew, man, I'd root for you 14 weeks a year. The other two, if they knocked your head off, I'll be happy to pick it up and carry it to the locker room. Okay? I loved him. I mean, he ran the same way. It was just an unbelievable gait when he ran with the ball, when he ran routes. He was silky smooth. I know Michael wore 88, but I'm still hung up on the original 88. Okay, my guy. The NFL honored me by doing a football life, and it really opens with Drew and I back at South River High School. But that was an incredible group of guys that really grew up together. In our hometown, what was so neat about the whole thing was we played Pop Warner football together. We were freshmen together. We went through high school together, and we wound up having that undefeated season. As a matter of fact, in a trophy room I have in our home in Virginia, we played Rutgers Stadium. We played at Rutgers Stadium. We played New Brunswick High School on Thanksgiving Day. And that was the last game of the undefeated season. At that time, you're going to appreciate this, Em. The goalposts were wooden. Okay? They were wooden goalposts. All right? So what they did is they cut up all those goalposts. They cut up the goalposts into 1 foot long pieces of wood. And all of us signed them. And sitting next to Super Bowl 17's trophy is my South River High School undefeated 1966 piece of wood, the goalpost with all the guys' names on them. So yeah, I love growing up where I did. I love my team, and I made sure I was at Drew's induction into the Hall of Fame, which, in my opinion, came way, way too long after he was eligible.
I agree. Well, I got to tell you what, you look great for a guy who came from the wooden goalpost era.
Thank you.
And Joe's always been one of my favorites, man. Joe's a hell of a golfer too. Now, don't let the. I mean, he's about as young as it comes.
Thanks.
He is aged gracefully. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Well, Emmitt, what is your fondest memory from your sophomore year at Escambia High when you won your first championship?
Oh my goodness.
I think that right there set the tempo in terms of where football can actually take you, because it took us on the road. We had to go to Jacksonville, and we had to go to Tallahassee and play in Tallahassee. We went to Jacksonville, played Leroy Butler and Edgar Bennett and them in the playoff, and went to 7 overtimes with those guys, and ended up playing in the state championship game for the first time ever and winning our first state championship. So my sophomore year was fun memories, was something very exciting, because my high school we were very, very bad for a number of years. And so to turn that thing around the way Coach Thomas and our coaching staff did with the players and the teammates that I had, we had truly that culture. And that's the part, when I look at things now and I look at my teams and I look at the successful teams, I look at it through the lens of those experiences now. And that's what I'm looking for. And that gives me some clear indication whether or not the Cowboys or anybody else truly have a championship team.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give you your stats for that year, which were amazing. You had 2,424 yards on the ground and 26 touchdowns. That's my boy right there.
Wow.
Well, guys, appreciate your answers. An honor to meet you, and have a great rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're going to keep rolling with the fans right now. Bright Eyes. Actually, Bright Eyes has a question for Joe. So, Bright Eyes, take it away.
Joe, following your horrific injury, I know that your teammates provided you with a lot of love and a lot of support. But how did you address your teammates to encourage them to continue, playing the game at their peak?
We were so much Joe Gibbs and his leadership and the guys on the football team. And we really became a close football team. Coach Gibbs took over in 81, and we started the season 0-5, finished 8-3, and we started to establish ourselves as a pretty good football team and really got to appreciate each other. In 82, we went on strike for 7 weeks. And I basically took the last game after our we went on strike for 7 weeks. I took the game plan from our last game and we practiced. And for 5 weeks, we had over 35 guys show up. It really was a bonding experience, sort of building experience away from the facility. And then when I got hurt in 85, we'd won a Super Bowl. We went back to a Super Bowl. We'd won a division. We'd enjoyed a lot of success. And I think the guys really rode that after I got hurt. Jay Schroeder went in and played after me. And, I'll certainly remember that night. I think it's a night that really changed the way injuries are presented. By the way, I want to say this now, too. It's so great to see how DeMar is doing.
Yes.
How he's responded. And, from the instant he was hurt to where we are today, there are so many people that have done a remarkable job. I think the league has done a great job. Both coaches did a great job. The medical staff that took care of him on the field and in the hospitals did an incredible job. And the decision not to replay the game. I mean, there's aces across the board everywhere, but it was so great to hear the news that he was able to communicate. The tube came out. He was able to talk to his teammates. And that's got just be a great inspiration going forward. For me, after I got hurt, I have to tell you, we talk about the brotherhood and the fraternity that we have, but we are replaceable instruments. Mm-hmm. I remember after I went back to, after 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I went back to, the locker room, and I walked up to my locker, and I played 12 years in Washington. I walked up to my locker, and Steve Bartkowski, the former Atlanta Falcon quarterback, was sitting in my locker. And all of the chin straps with blood on them, all the things that people have given me, fans had given me, they were all in a box in the equipment room. And at that moment, the harsh reality of what this game is all about really hit me, is that simply replaceable parts, and you have to enjoy and love what you're doing for the moment, because you just don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. And Emmitt, it's been a tough week for everyone. What did you really say to your son who is playing football right now? It's been just a tough week, not just for, DeMar's family, but the football family in general. And, I thought about you and what you would actually say to your son this week, because it was just almost devastating for everybody.
Well, I'm with Joe. I was completely devastated when I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I said, didn't look like nothing happened. But when I saw him fall, I said, wow, did he have a head injury or what? Then when they come out and it just threw me back for a look, just I've never seen anything quite like that on the football field myself. Now, I did see Joe's situation. I did see that. I've seen other injuries as well, knees, hamstrings, stuff like that, arms and stuff. I've seen those things. But my brother Emory and I were sitting here watching it, and my brother Emory experienced it in high school, where one of his teammates actually died on the field, football field, because he broke his neck. But I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking, and I'm not even thinking about my own kids. I'm thinking about DeMar at the time, and I'm thinking about what everyone else is going through, and my heart was just pounding, not knowing what was going to happen and how serious things were. We knew it was going to be big. We knew it was serious when they had to go through multiple commercials, and at that point, the only thing I could say, once they got him off the field, got him in the ambulance, and was taking him to the hospital, the only thing we could do, and the only thing I could do at the time, was just think about him and his family and pray for him and his family.
Right.
My son was in the comfort of our home.
Yes.
So I wasn't thinking about him at that time. But once everything took place, having a conversation with him was fairly simple. Son, what happened and what transpired on the football field can happen to anyone, including yourself. Therefore, never take a day for granted. Don't take a relationship for granted. Don't walk out the door thinking that you're going to come back home that same day and nothing happens. One of the most overrated blessings every man and every woman go through is thinking that we're going to leave in the morning and return back home the same way we left. That is never guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed. But what I also saw, what I felt great admiration for, was the way the country actually rallied and went to praying for this man. And to hear him come out of it, to hear them say that he was responding, because I was more concerned about neurology as well when they said he was in stable condition or critical condition, but he was not breathing on his own. But to hear that bounce back, that first initial one, brought tears to my eyes, because I was more concerned about his cerebral, whether or not his functionality was completely back, because no one knew how long he was out. No one knew whether or not he was receiving oxygen to the brain and all those kind of things. Yes, you can activate the heart, but the brain could not function, but to hear the brain functioning and he's able to communicate, that's when I was completely relieved. So for my son, who got hurt last year, he got hurt last year and had to have surgery. He got the chance to experience what being away from the game can really, really, truly feel and not be a part of something. He got a chance to experience what that is like. And so hopefully he takes that to heart and understand that he has to give it everything he has, no matter what the situation might be.
Well, thank you both. I really appreciate your time. I love this platform, Notable Live. Joe, we have an opportunity to talk live with a lot of football greats, and you're one of the greats. So thank you for joining us. And Emmitt, as always, appreciate this platform, Notable Live with Emmitt. And I wish you nothing but the best with your families for 2023. Go Cowboys, of course. Go Cowboys.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad. I think most people have never, ever seen that actually happen on the football field.
No.
I remember the Darryl Stingley injury up in New England. I remember that. But in modern time, it's been a long time since we've seen something like that.
Well, I think you go back to 1971. There was the Chicago and Detroit game. A guy by the name of Chuck Hughes collapsed on the field towards the end of the game. And actually, he did pass away. They actually continued that game. But interestingly enough, what they discovered after was he had arteriosclerosis. He had a hardening of the artery. And so that's what caused that injury, that particular moment. But since that time, you're right, we've seen various types of injuries, but never one where the player, it looked like not one of the major collisions that we have in our game. And then all of a sudden he got up, took a couple steps and went to the ground. And I've talked to some surgeons about this and medical people about it, and they said it's typical of what happens with a commotio type of an event. Is there's blood still flowing through the body, and then all of a sudden, bang, the heart shuts down. But like I said, you can't. First of all, thanks so many people for reaching out and with their prayers and the donations that they've made to the foundation for Damar, but also that 9 minutes of his life where he was on the field and all the players saw that, but the medical staff being able to do what they did to put it in a state where he would be able to get to the hospital and get the care that he needs. I mean, you talk about heroes in this world today, and Em, you and I both feel this way about our military. They are absolutely the heroes. But that group right there just performed, gosh, I guess you could almost say a miracle.
Yeah, I would think so. First and foremost, the miracle is having the ability to diagnose it fairly quick enough.
Right.
Versus coming out asking questions, are you all right, going through the checkpoints, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody knew enough to say, no, this is not normal. This is something serious here. Let's get active right now. And someone took the initiative versus sitting back trying to ask, what should we do? And that person is the trainer and for the Bills, and who took initiative to do those things and to take care of that kid. Because without that person taking that initiative, that initial step, ain't no telling where we could possibly be right now.
Yeah, but thank goodness we are,
But that's the blessings of life. We've been blessed, Joe, to provide joy and entertainment and excitement to people, many people around the world. We've been given a specialized talent, and other folks have been given specialized talent. Oftentimes people don't get to see others' specialized talent until moments like this occur. And like you said, men and women in the military, you got to have a special talent mentally, physically, and emotionally to be able to do some of the things that they do. And you got to be committed, just like we had to be committed in sports, but they committed in their particular field.
Right.
But to see various talents around the world come to light at the most opportune time, to activate when called upon, that right there, my friend, is something different and something set apart. But we all possess some level of skill that can be provided, can be utilized in this country. And we got to do it all in the best way, in the best light that we possibly can.
All right, guys, this next user, he used the jump the queue function, as I mentioned before. That means they're using the fast pass. They want to talk to you guys. They actually, are very interested with this conversation. They want to continue this conversation. So Rex used the jump the queue function. Rex, you're up.
I just wanted to ask, when you played with Drew Pearson in high school, you were Joe Theismann.
Yes.
And then Roger Valdesari kind of modified your name a little to maybe get you in the running for the Heisman at Notre Dame. I met Roger a couple of times, and I know he passed away not long ago.
That's correct.
But you never went back. I mean, do people still call you Theismann back in your hometown, or are you always Theismann now?
No, our families are Theismanns, but when I get back home, I'm Joey Theismann. Well, if you're from New Jersey, everybody's name ends in Y. There's Tommy, Bobby, Joey, Jimmy. I mean, it's just the way we grew up. And so when I get back home, I'm still Joey Theismann, and it's fun to get back home and see friends. And like I said, is what the NFL did with the football life. It gave me a chance to go back to South River and be able to go through the high school and walk the field and with Drew and be out there and sort of reminisce a little bit about the times we had growing up. I live 2 blocks from my high school. I mean, I walk out my front door, make a right-hand turn, and within 2 blocks, I've got tennis courts. We used to play stickball against the school walls, baseball fields, football fields, basketball courts. That's where I spent my life growing up.
You went to the Canadian Football League and then came back to a really, really veteran Redskin team. I mean, George Allen had all those grizzled veterans and did so well and built that team up. But how hard? I know you said you returned punts, but you were the number 3 quarterback there. Did some of those veterans make it tough on a young guy like you, Sonny and Billy and the other guys? Oh yeah, well,
first of all, I made it tough on myself. When I came to Washington in '74, Billy and Sonny were established. Sonny, as a matter of fact, they retired his jersey today, which was exciting. and it deserved so much. And Billy, we were in competition. I played 1 year with Sonny. I played 3, I think, with Billy. And they didn't like me because when I came to town, I basically said I came to play, not to sit. Well, that sort of upset them a little bit. And so they did not like me. And it's always tough when you sit in at least there's more running backs than 3. When you sit in a quarterback room, there's only 3 of us. And 2 of them didn't really like me. And I gave them every reason not to, but I wanted the job. It's just like anything else in competition. I came to find out Sonny was the most incredible thrower of the football. I'll never forget standing at practice with him one day, and I said, Sonny, he'd throw this beautiful spiral, and he'd sort of step into the bucket and just let that thing go, and it was beautiful. I asked him, I said, Sonny, how do you do that? He says, well, I take the ball, I put my fingers on the laces, and I went, wow, man, the Dalai Lama of pass just taught me. And then Billy's hand was so small, he had to cup the back of the ball. And, Billy's ball wobbled a little bit. But as I progressed through the game and as I got older, I came to really appreciate Sonny's ability to be able to lead a football team and in Billy's incredible toughness. Billy could get the guys to play for him like nobody had ever seen. I mean, the guys could just raise their level of play because it was Billy, and it was a hard-nosed, tough guy. And as much as when you're in the moment, you know this, when you're in the moment, you really don't care because you want the job, you're competing. But then you step back and look and say, contrary to what I believed, I learned a lot from these guys, or wanted to believe. I learned a lot from them.
Well, Happy New Year to both of you, Emmitt. Hopefully the Cowboys can come back here. Joe, I know you're hoping that they don't. So,
no, all right, we're
always an honor, guys. Thank you.
It actually brings me to my next point. So, Joe, every single week we have this segment called One Burning Question, and it's opinionated based. It kind of gets the conversation going. Usually we ask about the team, the player, yourself, everything like that. So this week's One Burning Question is, who is the greatest Redskins/Commanders player in the history of the team?
Who's the greatest player in the history of the team? Wow. I think and people tend to look just at the 80s and 90s. Sammy Ball was just incredible. I mean, what he was capable and able of doing on the football field, the type of player he was, to me, and I played with Art Monk, was just a Hall of Fame wide receiver. John Riggins, a Hall of Fame running back. I mean, but you go back in the history of our game, and to my recollection, would be Sammy.
Emmitt, who do you think? Obviously, you weren't on the team, but who was the greatest Redskin in your mind, or I should say Commander? But I mean, you played when they were the Redskins.
The greatest Redskin or Commander?
Or Commanders.
Man.
I mean, obviously, you played against the Redskins, so I think we could lean Redskins on this one.
Yeah, well, during my time, I mean, you got Darryl Green that was on the field. You had Charles Mann. I tell you what, I'm going to give you a name that most people might not even recognize. A guy by the name of Ken Harvey. Now, Ken Harvey probably was 265 pounds, cut like Tarzan. I mean, just ripped up. And my rookie year, the Cowboys, we had this turn back protection, and Ken Harvey was at the end of the line of scrimmage. And it was my job to cut him and get his hands down. And I did that in the first half. They must have called that turn back protection 6 or 7 times. And they gave me like 15 carries all in the first. I was wore out. I came to the sideline. I told Hudson Hall, our offensive line coach, I said, I'm not blocking him no more. I'm done. I cannot block this big man and carry the football as much as y'all want me to carry the football too. I cannot do it. I'm not doing it. As a rookie, I told him, I'm done. I'm only 212 pounds, and y'all want me to chop down a 260-something pound linebacker, outside linebacker slash DN, and you got a 295-pound left tackle at Mark 2-8 and another big old guy. That doesn't make any sense.
He looks the same way today, Em. Ken still. I see him at different events, and he's still chiseled and, solid as a rock.
Solid. I mean, solid.
Joe, if I'm being selfish, for the Notable Live team,
the best commander, but man, he was one of the most memorable commanders for me.
that's all that matters. Joe, if I'm being selfish, for all of us from Notable Live, obviously, I think you're up there for one of the best Redskins. Obviously, the numbers don't lie either, my man. So no, you obviously are one of the greats. So thank you so much, guys. We got one more user, so we're gonna let this man take it away, and then we'll wrap it up.
Hey, so I'm David, and this is Mike.
What's up, Mike?
Hi guys.
Hey, what's happening?
And the biggest thing is I always have my one question I always want to ask, but on this one right now, I'm gonna ask Emmitt first, and then I'm gonna ask you, Joe. So the biggest thing I want to ask is, what's the best gift you received, and what made it so special?
The best gift I received? Oh my God, my man! I you know what?
Wow.
I would have to say my God-given talent is probably the best gift I could have ever received, without even realizing what I had to do to earn it and develop it. I mean, football came natural to me. Outside of the hard work and everything else, I don't know how I chose the sport. I don't know what drew me to the sport, but it's a sport that I absolutely love, and a sport I played for a long period of time. And I have to look at my talent and say, wow, to do the things I was able to do, to be surrounded by the players I was able to be surrounded with, and play for a long period of time, and accomplish the personal goals as well as the team goals and all that kind of stuff. It's all because of that talent. That talent has gotten me to where I'm at to this day. And that, to me, is the best gift I could ever have received, to have something that could bless me, and hopefully I can turn around and bless others with it. So to me, I look at that as the best gift I could have ever given outside of life.
Awesome.
Nice. Okay, Joe, and the same goes for you.
Well, actually, I want to say two. We have a ranch in Virginia, and my wife Robin, 4 or 5 years ago, gave me a gator, and that was the best present I ever received in my life. Okay, but now on another note, now I know you may find this very unusual, but I think the gift that the good Lord gave me was the night my leg was broken.
Oh, I remember that.
Because I was on a path. I was very self-absorbed. I thought everything revolved around me. I felt like I was the one that should be served, not the way the good Lord meant it to be, for us to serve others. And what happened, I'm healthy. I'm able to do everything. Em and I play golf together. I can run. I can work out. But I believe that night, the good Lord entered my life and said, Joe, it's time that you have to stop and take a look at who you are as a person and the direction you want to go in your life. And to be able to serve others is why we're on this earth. And like I see, you see the donations that have come for tomorrow. So many other people feel, I think, that way. But that particular moment in my life, I look at as a blessing from the good Lord to really open my eyes to where I was going and where I wanted to become and the type of person I want to continue to grow and be every day.
Nice.
But I love my game, man.
Well, Joe, I don't know what you were. I don't know how you was before I met you, but I love the man I know now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And Mike has something to say.
Yeah, well, what I got to say is basically I came to the country in 1972 from Germany as a 12, 13-year-old kid. And one of the first games I've been watching was the Dallas Cowboys and Washington Redskins. I ended up making me a Dallas Cowboy fan for the rest of my life so far.
Oh, why? You chose the wrong side.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry, man.
Mike, you had a chance to go the other way, and you chose the.
Hey, Joe, I'm telling you, it was our cheerleaders, baby. It was our cheerleaders.
I don't know. At that time, I remember my mom used to say, "They score yet? They score yet?" Because I kept cheering on it. I remember that. She's from Germany at the time too.
Well,
I love a good game anyway, man.
Great.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Joe, I got one last question for you. What did you think about the platform and the event?
I think it's fantastic. It's wonderful. First of all, to be able to share it with them. it isn't often that we get to really work with a friend or a buddy and be able to, the rivalry that exists between our two football teams and the relationship that we've had over the years, to be able to spend time and hear his stories and hear his perspective. It's just exciting. And I love the platform that gives the fans a chance to be able to not only ask the question, but be seen able to do it. So to me, it's just been terrific. I appreciate the opportunity to be a notable, I guess you could say.